Academy, and before I used to teach at Beacon Academy of Nevada. I have learned to adapt online curriculum and learning management systems like Canvas and a couple others in the years past to help create a blended learning environment before I worked with NVLA for 7 years. As of this summer, I have said goodbye to online teaching and learning and my family at NVLA, and I'll be moving back into the classroom in the fall with Cimarron Memorial High School. I have 2 graduate degrees that kind of give me an edge on what I'm talking about today, in case you guys just think I'm just speaking from experience. I actually went to school to learn more about online and blended learning. I have a master's in education and technology leadership, educational technology leadership and higher education. Eventually, when I get a little bit older, a little bit braver, and a little bit more wiser, I would like to move into professional development to create and facilitate sessions like this, whether it's face-to-face or online. In my personal life, I'm a mom of 5 kids. I will be getting married next May. We have a blended family. 2 are my own, 3 are my stepkids. Our age ranges are from 5, 8, 15, 16, and 20 and a half. So I have a very full house. On top of that, I'm a public education advocate. Some of you guys know me from speaking on the news, at school board meetings, writing opinion articles for online formats or newspapers, and just generally being loud about our working conditions and our students' learning conditions. So the webinar flow is going to be pretty open in the sense of there is structure. There are going to be specific topics that I'll be covering throughout today's session, but it's more exploratory and discovery on your end. It's not like you will be hearing me speak to you and the words on the screen. I don't believe in 100 words on the screen. I believe in a few short, important words, me telling you a few pieces of information, and then you do things on your own. So today you actually are going to be working in your Canvas and kind of looking around in your workroom today, and then we'll start building upon that every day this week. So today we're looking at navigating Canvas, creating your settings and notifications, and looking at your workroom and seeing what you can do within your workroom. Tomorrow we'll be looking at creating pages and assignments, looking at Canvas Commons for course content, and then I know a lot of people have expressed huge concerns about having content in Google Classrooms and Google Drive. I will show you guys how to move that over into Canvas. It does take a little bit of work, but in the end it'll be worth it because then you won't have to go back and forth between 2 platforms to grab what you need. Later on this week, we're going to be looking at discussions, Flipgrid, creating quizzes. The biggest other concern that I've heard are the live virtual lessons. So I'm going to walk you guys through how to create live sessions, how I've learned how to engage students through interactivity within live sessions, basically sharing my experience, some ideas for you guys so you can tailor virtual lessons to how you would teach in the classroom. Honestly, day 4 is basically us learning how to use the effective components of a lesson plan in a live virtual format. It seems like it's daunting, but once you start drafting everything out and you start doing a couple of these and picking them out, it's just like being in front of the classroom and figuring out what you're going to do when you instruct live face-to-face. And then the last day is going to be a huge discussion palooza. We're going to be looking at these specific 4 topics, which I won't cover today because that'll be more important as you start learning more. Here.
Someone has
so just some norms to cover as we're going through today. Try to stay on task with me. I do have a Google form set up to where you're like basically submitting mini activities. My goal is to try and provide you guys a certificate of participation to show that you've worked and you've sat through a webinar, and hopefully you can use them for CUs. I can't guarantee they can be used for CUs, but from my understanding from others who have attended webinars, what I'm providing is very similar and it's been accepted. So fingers crossed you can use for CUs. Otherwise, the certificate of participation can be shown for your NEPF, which I'll go over later on this week, to show that you went above and beyond for your professional development in learning Canvas for the next school year. So for this specific webinar, we are going to be looking at how to navigate Canvas as a learning management system. We're going to look at your settings in your account and notifications and get those set up. You're going to finish setting up your workroom if you have not done so already. And then we're going to discuss and explore options to customize your workroom. So let's go ahead and get started on the first activity of the Google form outside of your name and all that extra good random personal stuff. Is what I want you to do is be very honest. How well do you know Canvas? Do you have any experiences? If not, do you have fears and concerns? Once you're done doing that, you're going to go ahead and, let me change this over. What you're going to do is you're going to, as you see, how well do you know Canvas? You'll notice that I ask you to create your response in the Google form, and then you're going to copy and paste it into this Padlet link. You're just going to click on it, and your responses are going to pop up on here. As you can see, I already have some eager beavers that went ahead and worked ahead. That's fine. I like that because that's less we have to wait for as we move forward. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a couple of moments to do this. If you have completed this step already, can you go ahead and place the word done in the chat screen for me, please? If you have not popped open the chat screen yet, go ahead and click on the comment bubble and it will open the chat screen for you.
Rachel, can you turn off your microphone?
Sorry about that, sure.
All right, so what I've done is I saw that some people were asking about the Google form. It was up earlier. I'm going to go ahead and copy the link into the chat screen. You can open it from the chat screen. Oops. I did not mean for have Carol do that. Sorry about that, Carol.
What did you do?
So the nice thing about using something like Padlet is so you can gather information in real time. So I'm sure some of you guys have used this in a similar environment of a presentation or training. This is one of the tools I do use to engage my students during a live session. So if you want to think about it, today is sort of similar to a live session. Please do not forget to tell me you are done by typing the word done in the chat screen for me, please, so I know how to move forward. As people are finishing up their responses, you'll notice that in this Padlet, you see that there's a thumbs up and a thumbs down. If you are encouraged, I will encourage you to do so, but if you're motivated to do so, please go through and give an up if you feel the same way as well. Within some of these responses your colleagues are coming up with on how well do they know Canvas. Carol, you should be able to scroll down and see all the responses on your end since you had to open the Padlet link and put your response in. You just click on the link in your Google form, Janet, and it'll open up to the Padlet that I have right now open currently for you to post your response. Yes, go back to the form, please, Carol. You should be able to post on the link. I can't reopen the link as another person. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can in my other Google accounts. Hold on one second. All right, so there's a little purple, or not purple, pinkish plus sign down at the bottom right hand of the screen, Janet. When you click on it, it'll let you add your response right here on the top left hand corner, and then you just go ahead and put in your answer. All right, if you're just joining us and you need the Google form, please let me know in the chat screen so you can catch up quickly. I see the duns are slowing down.
What do we put for the workroom course link?
I see that no one is asking for the Google form. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward in our session. So in most cases, a lot of you are new. Some of you have not even begun to start looking at it till last night. That's completely fine. This is for anyone and everyone who's looking to just, you know, kind of get more comfortable within the session. Give me 1 second, Maria. We haven't gotten there yet, Sandy. All right, Maria, I've posted the link for the form in the chat screen. Please try to catch up quickly so you don't get too far behind. Luckily, for the next couple minutes, I'm going to be going over some navigation of Canvas. So with Canvas, we have several different options. I'm going to go ahead and move over into Canvas itself and kind of show you guys what we are looking at here. When you log in, you see your dashboard right away. You will notice that I have several things up here currently. Luckily, I logged in and followed my own instructions last night, and I made sure I cleaned up my my dashboard so it did not overwhelm people because I had several courses on here. Published courses versus unpublished courses. So this was a question a couple people asked me between last night and this morning. Your workroom does not need to be published. Basically, published versus unpublished means that people can see your course within Canvas if they have the needs to do on the back end to search for courses. So if your course is unpublished, they can find it, but they can't access it. If your published is course, they can find it and access it. It's similar to a student view where you would have your course live connected with Infinite Campus, which we're going to go over this week, and students can find it, open it, and work in it. If you have an unpublished course, the only person or people who can work in your unpublished course will be you and anyone you added to the course, which we're going to get to in a little bit, hence the question that was popped up for workroom course link. I will walk you guys through that process today. So when I'm talking about navigation bar in Canvas, the left sidebar is your navigation bar in Canvas. As we start working into your workroom, or what I call a course, they're all courses. Some are just unpublished, some are not ready. I prefer to just call them courses, but I have to keep aligned with Canvas terms so you understand. So when you look at your workroom or course, you'll find that they're on this dashboard. I did show you guys how to make sure you can save your courses you need right away on your dashboard as buttons. I'll go over that again today. You will also know that you can also see your courses by popping up the courses button, and it'll list all your courses that you have saved on your dashboard, and another nifty link, all courses, to link you back to all your courses. Groups is not necessarily something that is used within Canvas as often because it's very limited. Luckily, I still have one group in here, and here's the reason why it's limited. Groups is similar to like working in Google Groups, or kind of like doing a small group work amongst teachers or Canvas users. So as you can see here, you can post announcements, pages, you can see who's in the group. You have access to a discussion board. You can share files, conferences. That's up in the air right now. I'm not sure what Canvas is using for conferences right now. And collaborations, which collaborations, it's similar to you going into Google Drive and working on documents, but you work in Canvas. If you are looking to create a PLC, which I'll go over again this week in Canvas, there is an easier way to do that, and I'll show you guys that later on down the week. I will be personally forming PLCs with people across the district to help them for CUs and whatnot this year. So if you're interested in that, you can always contact me and we can set up a time to discuss what you're looking for. The calendar view is more so for the students than you, unless you really need to have a good outlook of what's going on. So let me see if I can pull up an old course. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to pull up my summer school course. So let me go back to June. The calendar, again, is mostly for the students, but it can be good for you also. It basically shows when every assignment, lesson assigned within the course is due, and then it kind of gives you a weekly overview of what's going on. The inbox, I'm not going to click on because I have a lot of student names in there, but the inbox is how you would communicate with your students and other teachers you may add into your course, or your workrooms, or teacher assistants if you get like someone to come in and be a teacher assistant. At NVLA, sometimes if we have so many students, we tend to hire teacher assistants to help with grading. Those positions are few and far between. So don't think that you can find a good way to get your foot in the door that way. That's mostly for like when we are like overwhelmed with so many students and we have to get through grading in a timely manner. Commons, we're going to go over Commons again, but Commons is a really good tool to look for course content. We will be dedicating some time this week in a different session on Course Commons, or Canvas Commons, but you are welcome to look through it later on after today's session to kind of look in and see what there is. I'm going to be very honest, there's mostly 6th through 12th grade. Nothing from grades 3 or 3 to 5 have been released yet from NVLA. But if you're looking to build your course from the ground up, there is a template that I can show you later on this week to work with. And then CCSD Hub is also a good place to start if you're looking for information on digital content. So if you click on CCSD Hub, you'll notice that there is ELA, math, science, social studies, health, and other electives. And then there's other ways to learn Canvas. I'm going to caution you, I believe CCSD has pulled down most of the Canvas PDEs, and they're probably sprucing them up for this upcoming school year. I was unable to find most of them in ELMS, but honestly, it takes practice. The trainings are basically guides like what I'm giving you guys this week. So, you know, it's beneficial if you've taken them before. If you have taken some Canvas courses before where you're learning about how to teach and create an online and blended learning, you should still have access to those. Those are under your past courses that you've accessed. You just go into all courses and scroll all the way down and you'll find them down there. And then the help section is pretty good if you want to learn about different things that we have going on with Canvas and how we also push out the Canvas student orientation, which is mostly developed by the NVL. It's a conjunction between NVLA and the online blended learning department that we've created. And then there's the training services portal where you can join the different videos and courses and basically anything you need help with outside of today or after this week, you might be able to find it, or I may guide you towards that area. All right. So Lisa, at this time, I can't speak on pre-K through 2, and I only include pre-K because we do have plenty of schools that offer pre-K options through Title I and are on our campuses. I have no idea what they're going to use pre-K through 2. It has not been touched upon in any of the meetings that have been held publicly. When the plan was presented on June 25th, July 6th, and revised again and presented on the 9th. I would, if you want to stay and learn, that's fine, but I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. All I know is NVLA is only creating course content for grades 3 through 5. There has been no talks about pre-K through 2. So if I'm missing questions, let me know. Let's see. Am I showing a screen? All I see is a picture. Are you guys able to see my Canvas right now on the screen? Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward. And let's talk about course shell versus workroom. So workrooms are only accessible by you and those you've added into your workroom. Changes made in this area of Canvas will not affect things going on in real time. I highly suggest, and this is what we do at MVLA, anytime you create different content. So like for me, when I taught at MVLA, I would have a workroom for English 11 semester 1, English 11 semester 2. This year, I'm going to need workrooms for English 11 semester 1, English 11 semester 2, and publications 1, publications 2. So the reason why you would want different workrooms, especially if you're working in different content areas, what you will need to do is make sure you have those housed in an area first. I'll answer that question in just a couple minutes, Janet. When we're looking at course shells are the ones that are accessed by students. These are attached to your Infinite Campus. You do not create course shells. Your Canvas controller on campus does this for you. It has to be done on the back end, so it attaches into Infinite Campus. That way, when students are enrolled into your course, they are filed into your Canvas course from Infinite Campus. When we're looking at course shells are accessible by observers. So these can be your administrators. It could be also parents and guardians of students. Changes made in the course shell will affect the course overall, which is why you really want to make sure before you import or push in content into your course shell that it's right where you want it to be and how it looks and everything is done. Because once you push it into the course shell, you have to edit it in the course shell. So make sure that once you export or place it into your live course shell, that you are making sure that minimal changes will be made. Like for instance, grammar. Grammar is easy to change, but if you're looking to redo a whole thing, that's a whole nother process that you would have to work through. So make sure you do all your changes as much as possible in your workroom, so it does not affect the flow of your live course shell. Okay, so oh yes, thank you for reminding me about that, Karen. If you have not done so already, what you can do is click on my presenting part and you'll see a push pin. Click on the push pin and it'll make my screen bigger for you guys to see on your end. Thank you for reminding me to do that. Janet had a question. How do we see all courses the district offer on Canvas? So Janet, I don't know if they are accessible on ELMS right now, but we can revisit at the end of the session and see if they're accessible at least through the CCSD hub and see if we can access it, or if they'll push us somewhere and then we can see if we can still access it. Rachel. So you can do modules, you can do assignments. It depends on your workflow, Rachel. It's not necessary for you to wait until the whole course is done. I know with us only receiving 10 days really to really put everything together before we start working with students on August 24th, at least so far per the revised plan on July 9th. I would think that modules would probably be preferable. As we work through this week, I will be sharing like my philosophy of how the flow of a course should look like. It really is up to your teaching style though. If you know for a fact you have a chunk of information for a specific topic that you're going to teach and you want to barrel it out as a whole module and you know that you can do that, that's great. But I will caution you, it does take time to work in Canvas. If you do find yourself working week to week, I would suggest having 2 to 3 weeks out so you can continue to work. That way you don't burn yourself out between live teaching and creating the curriculum you want to push to your students. It does take a lot of time on the front end. This is where I insert my personal philosophy here. I feel this is going to be the new norm of us working blended learning, at least minimally, for the next few years as we find that this virus is mutating. Now we are concerned, or at least we're aware that other viruses could form. So moving towards a blended learning process is smart. And as you work through this year, you're probably going to find that next year you'll use the same thing and tweak it. So it's really about a balance of what works for you and your teaching style. CK12 is something you can use. I'll show you guys that today. That is part of the apps within Canvas that you can use. I have not personally used CK12, but I do know it's integrated into Canvas as an external tool you can use. So I hope that answers everyone's questions so far. Are there any questions about anything up to this point? I'll just give it a minute in case the stream is slow. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move forward. I'll try to keep catching those questions as I see them on the right side. So settings and notifications. I'm going to go ahead and do a show you and then you're going to do. And then we'll go through this part pretty quickly. So in your settings, under your account tab, you are going to, this page you really don't need to touch, except I really wanted to show you guys something really cool. Canvas over the spring semester included pronouns, which for some is a big deal to have, especially if we have a transgender student or a transgender teacher. So what you would do is, you see right here where it has our settings, it does list pronouns. The rest of this stuff you don't need to do unless you are an advanced technology user. If you are not, do not go past ways to log in. I'm going to ask you to do that because I don't know how to fix your guys' canvases. I'm not your Canvas controller, so don't fiddle with anything if you don't know what to do with it. But if you do want to add your pronouns, what you would do is come over here on the right side of the screen and click on Edit Settings. And then you'll notice that the pop-up box for the menu for pronouns pops up. It has she, her, he, him, they, them. I know there's like a 𝘒𝘢𝘳𝘀. I don't know if that's been submitted to Canvas. But if you do find your students would like that specific feature, feel free to shoot me an email, and then I can contact the person who's our district Canvas controller, 𝘰𝘢𝘀, and then he could put that that specific request in to see if they'll add it. A lot of things that you see in Canvas right now as teachers, if you have not taken PDEs through CCSD on learning how to use Canvas, a lot of the features you see in Canvas have been a labor of love from NVLA and the Online Blended Learning Department for the last 7 years. We are entering our 8th year of using Canvas in the district, and I can tell you personally, as a teacher who has committed time to not just teaching online but also helping revamp Canvas, everything you see is trying to be as user-friendly as possible, to the point where if you have an idea, you can go online, and I'll show you guys this later on this week. You can go online into Canvas and share your ideas, and if it gets upvoted enough, Canvas actually considers it and builds it and incorporates it into Canvas. So the reason why I believe the state and the district moved towards Canvas is because Canvas has been proven to show that they're user-friendly, and they're willing to listen to the suggestions and the ideas of teachers. This learning management system was built by teachers. And while Blackboard, Brain Honey, other learning management systems have been built by teachers also, they are built also with a corporate mind in place. Whereas Canvas, they do get used by corporations, but it's mostly a K through 12 and higher ed platform for learning. All right, so I'm not going to go over the rest of this stuff because this stuff is more advanced stuff that would be like after this week if you decided to move on forward learning in Canvas. But what I do want you guys to do right now is to go ahead and open up your account button and go down to notifications. And I'm going to give you guys an idea of what I think notifications should be on in your end. As you can see, there's 2 different columns for notifications. One is your email address. Automatically, your email address, your CCSD Gmail account should be attached to Canvas. Then you have push notification. Push notification is when you use the CCSD teacher, CCSD parent, or CCSD student apps. So when parents and guardians sign up for an observer account, they would use CCSD parent. As teachers, we would use CCSD teacher, or not CCSD teacher, Canvas parent and Canvas teacher, I'm sorry. Canvas teacher is what we would use. Our students, since we're moving to an online and blended learning model, really encourage your students to download the Canvas student app, whether it's on a tablet or a phone. It will help them keep track of things within the courses and what would be due. So as a teacher, my suggestion is to make sure course invitations are turned on by email, and submission comments. And the reason why I say submission comments is a lot of times students will try to, so you've never, okay, so if you have no push notification column, they must have just changed that recently. If you don't have a push notification column, that means you have not tied your Canvas account to a device. That's fine. You can apply these later on when you download an app to a device, so you can get those notifications on your device. In my experience, you probably wouldn't be changing the notifications differently from your email address to push. So that would be where that stands. So again, invitation to courses, you want to know when you're invited to those, especially when your Canvas controller creates your live shell courses. And then submission comments, I stopped on that by accident. I'm sorry, I meant to finish my comment before I saw the questions. A lot of times students will not think to come out of an assignment and message you directly for help. What they'll do is instead is they'll type a comment and submit the assignment, whether it's blank, not done, or whatever. So instead of, them getting upset at you and parents getting upset at you saying, well, they contacted you. More than likely, they probably did contact you and you didn't get it because you didn't have this turned on. I learned this a long time ago. So have that turned on so you can get those. Students are able to submit more than once as long as you have it set up that way. Usually the default is unlimited times. So if they happen to submit with a comment and they didn't submit something, they're still able to submit it again when it's finished. Blueprint sync, I'm not sure how this is going to work at different schools. For me, at NVLA, we use blueprinting, and I'm going to explain it, and it might go over your heads. If it goes over your head, don't worry about it. It's not on a test, and it's not something that may apply to you this school year. But blueprinting is where a school creates shells that are considered master courses. And from those master courses, they push that course content into a live course shell. Live course shells are the ones where your students are in it, you're grading, you're giving feedback, you're running your course instruction and curriculum through that live course shell. I have it turned on for once a day because sometimes at NVLA, we have different preps, we have different shells. Like for instance, an average teacher would have a minimum of 4 shells, 1 regular, 1 honor, 1 for semester 1, 1 for semester 2. So it really helps to know when things are pushed out to you from blueprinting. But again, I don't know if the district is requiring schools to do the same. So if you forget this information, it does not apply to you for now. Discussions are graded assignments as well, or they can be. They don't have to be, but we normally do. Similar to, formative assessments of discussions in the classroom. I personally don't have these pushed forward because that can become tedious. Same thing with up here. If you are posting due dates, you know your grading policy. When you update your course content, you don't need to know that your course content is updated. The only time this would probably need to be turned on to let you know is if you're sharing with collaborators. So like for instance, I see, I'm going to pick out Mary Beth, Tracy, Carol, and Sarah. I know these people personally, so I can pick them out and talk them in a scenario. So say all 5 of us are in a course, and each of us are responsible for a certain part of the course we're creating. That would be when I would want to know when course content is changed. Then I would turn that on. If you're the only person creating in your course, you don't need to know that. Files, again, if you really want to know and be tedious about what's going in and out of your course with collaborators, then turn it on. I'm not a big person to do that. I don't oversee other people's work. That's just up to your collaboration style. Announcements that are posted. Now, this is where this could be applied to how we possibly do things next school year. If your school decides to run a Canvas group instead of like Google group or like just a ton of emails to communicate with you, then yes, I would turn on announcements. Outside of that, if you create announcements, you can turn that on if you want, but if you have both of these on, you're going to get a copy of your announcement twice because you created it and then, oh, new announcement. So then it follows up right behind your created announcement and follows up with, hey, you have another announcement in this class. It becomes a lot of emails, especially when you start getting messages from students. If you're like me, you try to keep your inbox as tidy and neat as possible. So minimizing how many notifications you have from Canvas is ideal, especially since most of us will be working daily, practically every minute that we're not in front of students in Canvas. You really don't need to be reminded when these due dates are or all the submissions coming in from your students. You really don't need to know when students are turning in late grading, but this would need to be turned on if you're a parent of a student. Same thing with discussions. Unless you want your inbox filled up with all the discussion posts and responses from your students, keep it off. These are the important things I do keep on every year, every day, no matter what. Conversations. Conversations are found in this inbox right here. I actually have them sent to my Gmail account. It's easier for me to answer from my Gmail account. I will caution you though, if you're attaching documents like PDFs, a picture, or a Microsoft or Google document to a conversation, you must do it through Canvas. I call this the Canvas inbox or Canvas Messenger. You cannot do that through Gmail. You can start conversations. That's why I keep getting that. I don't need that on. Unless you really need a copy in your inbox of conversations created by you specifically to students or observers, you can turn that off. I'm not sure how appointments have worked in the past. I keep this on and I've never had students use it, so I don't know if there's a way to schedule from a student point of view, but I leave it on just in case a student decides to, feel a little bit random that day and start clicking around looking in the calendar or something and they set up an appointment with me. I will later on this week show you guys some tips and tricks on setting up appointments in Google Calendar though. That would be helpful for management. Membership updates, this is where it would tell you if new students have been added. Here's the funny thing though, it tells us this, but I have this checked and I've had it checked since day one, 7 years ago. I've never received any emails. So maybe this year I'll start getting emails now that I'm complaining about it. And then some of these other things like global announcements, content link error is important. When a student comes across content in your course and a link is broken, like for instance, maybe you used a Google form that may not attach correctly, or YouTube link video that is taken down by YouTube for some reason, the students can actually click in that page and let you know. It'll send you an automated message from Canvas letting you know this specific page has a broken link, and then it'll take you to the page through a hyperlink, and then you can see what the students are seeing or not seeing. Do we have any questions about notifications? All right, so I'm looking at questions here. Okay, so someone did suggest if you add a phone number, it will push. You do not have to set up your notifications like me, Phil. Feel free to do so, though, if you would like to. But, I mean, these are the basic ones that I have because I work in Gmail and Canvas every single day. So I don't need all these announcements and notifications. That's up to you. All right. Okay, so Janet asked, what if you're a teacher and a parent? So I've been there, I've done that. What happens is in your courses, and I'm gonna see if they still pull them up. My oldest daughter used to be a student at NVLA. You would be able to see, so like, as you can see, I can see myself as enrolled as a student, as a teacher, as a TA, and then, let's see if there's no more for parent. So when you have courses that pop up, and they're like live right now, they'll pop up here at the top of courses, and you'll notice that it'll say parent or observer. I think it's changed to observer now. It used to say parent. If you want to keep those on your dashboard, you can put a star next to it and it'll pull up on your dashboard. It just allows you to basically see the course as the student. It's not really necessary for you in your teaching. Can I scroll up? Scroll up where, Phil? But it just allows you to have access so you don't have to set up a different account. But most times that does not happen until you set up an observer account, and then it will file it into your teacher account and merge them together. All right. Do we have any questions about notifications and settings? Sure, hold on one second. For my notifications, correct? Ooh, I'll get to that in just a moment. Here you go, Melissa. As Melissa's getting this screenshot of the bottom part of my notifications, Lisa, in order to get push notifications, you can just download the Canvas teacher app to a tablet or a phone, and then sign in through there, and then it'll pop open this second column for you. Melissa, did you get the screenshot so I can show Janet how to sign in? I personally don't want notifications from a lot of my course activities because I'm in it every single day. So when I go back to the dashboard, you can't physically see it because all my courses are graded out, but I'll show you why it's not important to get all those notifications, or at least my workaround. I just prefer not to have my inbox filled with all these different notifications when I'm in Canvas all day, every day. If you choose to do it, Phil, that's you. That's why I said these are what I prefer. You feel free to do what you want for your notifications. You may find that you may need them. Just it depends on your work and your work flow and how you work. It may be beneficial for people who've never worked with Canvas before. All right, so Janet asked how to sign up for an account. So I'm going to go ahead and drag over another window. All right, so Janet, when you're signing up for an observer account as a teacher, you can get an observer account too. So on the home screen, I don't know if you guys noticed, but right under the login box, it says parents get accounts also, or parents get accounts too. Click here. Now, here's the thing. Your student would have to log in first and then oh, wait, they changed it. Yes. Watch this be the same screen. You must be logged in to access this page. Okay. Weird. All right, so I'm going to stop right here because they changed it, and I'm not an authority on the matter right now. So I will look into this, Janet. If you can message me later and ask me, I'll see if there's an updated screenshot version from Blended Ed and see if we can get that out to you, okay? You're welcome. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward. So this is where you guys are going to add me to your workroom, and I'm going to show you guys how to do it. What you're going to do is you're going to go into your workroom. So if you already have it open, that's fine. If you don't, go ahead and go into your workroom. And then what you're going to do is so now you'll notice there's two different navigation sidebars. The black one is the Canvas navigation bar, and the one inside of your course screen is your course navigation bar. So on your course navigation bar, go ahead and click on People. And then you're going to click on plus People. And then it's going to ask you for an email address. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the slide back up. So again, you're going to click on the plus People, and then it'll ask for my email address. Here is my email address. When you're done adding me to your workroom, go ahead and put email sent, and then I will know to move forward when the bulk of us have this done. Just to let you know, this is not me trying to look into your workroom and seeing how you guys are going on for the school year, but instead, what this will do is allow me to verify, yes, you went in, you've done something in Canvas. That way, if I'm ever asked about your certificate of participation in hopes you can use it for CUs or at least for your NEPF, I can say, yes, Sarah did go in and she added me into her workroom and she did some of the activities I did throughout my webinar session. After this webinar session, if you wish to remove me, you can remove me, and I'll show you guys at the end of the week how to do that. Thank you, Melanie. But again, I'll give you guys a couple minutes to do this in case things are going slow. So the role could be whatever you would like me to be put in. You can put me as a student, an observer, as a teacher. As long as I can physically see the course, that's what matters at this point in time. Sure. Let me go here. So in your course navigation bar, go to People. And then once you get to this screen right here where you see yourself in the screen, then go to plus People. And then you're going to add this email address in green into the box that pops up. Bottom left. Hold on. Yes, click on Next. Thank you. You can add me as an observer, student, or teacher, whatever you wish to add me as. So while I am showing this to you guys, please understand that this is not the way to add students to your courses. I will repeat, this is not the way to add students to your courses. Even if they show up brand new that day, you must allow your Canvas controller to add them in through Infinite Campus. And then when Infinite Campus updates, it will push the student through and enroll them into your course through the back end. Please do not add your students in this manner. This is only a workaround if you need to add teachers to your workrooms or your courses or administrators. This is not to add students. So again, I'm going to repeat it one more time, and it's not because I feel that any of you are not getting it. It is super important because what happens is when you add a student manually and then they're pushed forward from Infinite Campus, it can cause some major glitches in your course. Just don't do it. Just use this for teachers and for administrators. If parents and guardians are looking to be connected into the course, push them towards creating an observer account on the home page of the log screen of Canvas. That will enroll them into the course and do it correctly without there being any glitches or gaps. So, Tasha, just to let you know, your administrator can ask your Canvas controller to pull up a report whether they're in your class or not. And I probably just gave away sensitive information that probably probably was not known by many administrators right now, so if they're watching, they probably know now. But the reality is the report can be pulled regardless if they're in your course or not. So for instance, right now you guys can see that I've spent 16 minutes and 47 seconds in my course for my Canvas webinar working shell. You will find hours upon hours will stack in there the more time you're in there. But this only shows activity physically in the course. If you're not grading physically in the course, which I'm going to show you guys a different way to grade, then it doesn't count that time in there. So the reports pulled have to be specific. They have to click on certain areas to really get in there and show how much time you've actually logged on. But I will caution you, for someone like me, I would tell administrators that it doesn't matter how much time you spend in here. So for instance, what is 16 minutes to me could be, sorry, Mary Beth. Mary Beth would probably take 2 hours to do, just because she's new. It may say pending to me because I have to accept it. That's fine. After you do that, I'll show you in just a minute, Phil. So when you're going in there and you have your administrator saying, you've only spent 30 minutes this week in there, you can show them your gradebook is up to date if you're using the way I do. You could show them what you've been doing on the back end. And furthermore, if they don't know you have a workroom, what you do in your workroom building is probably what's going to take up the most time outside of grading and putting it in Canvas live course shells. So having those very candid conversations with your administrator is very important to let them know, look, I created my content in this specific workroom, and you can send them the link, which I'm going to show you in a moment how to do so you can update your Google Drive, or excuse me, your Google form. But having those conversations, just know that, yes, this is going to be, I think Tasha brought up a very important point that some of us have probably already been thinking about. This is going to be another way that our administrators are going to micromanage us, unfortunately. But like I said, as long as you're working diligently and you can show that you are working, time is irrelevant. The only time it's going to be relevant is if we can't produce the work that we should be producing for our students in the form of curriculum and assignments and grading. Okay, so now get in your workroom link. Go ahead and click on the home link on your course navigation sidebar. And then up here in the web URL address bar, go ahead and copy and paste this link right here. So it should say csd.instructure.com/courses/ and then a series of numbers. Go ahead and copy and paste that into your Google form sheet and let me know link posted. And just to let you guys know, you have survived 1 hour of being in Canvas. You should congratulate yourself if this was going to be a crash course for you and you were freaking out. Just to let you guys know, 83 people total are online with us today in this actual session that's able to ask questions. I am unsure how many people are just watching through the live session. The Google form should be the one that you were working in earlier. Nicole, did you come in late? Let me get the Google form for you. That's all right. It is now posted in the chat screen. Just when you can, Nicole, finish up the rest of the webinar later. There's some things that you would have to watch from the recording so you can submit it so I can log your hours for today. Yes. Melanie, are you talking about the recording links? Okay. Yes, I will be. Well, here's the thing. Can we not use Gmail because that was a pain in the bottom last night? What I'll do is I'll post it on Facebook. Mary Beth, you need help finding your workroom link? The Google form is posted in the chat screen again. Okay, do you need to find your workroom link, Mary Beth? Oh, that's not good. Okay. Give me a moment, Phil. Let me see if I can delete your response. So Melanie, I'll post it on my Facebook profile or in one of the 4 or 5 teacher groups I'm in. Can you send it? What can I send in an email, Phil? Well, the link is in here. Let me give it to you. I don't know if it'll let you submit another one. Click on the link in the chat screen, Phil, and let me know if it lets you pop it up. And then what I can do is, if it does, I can just merge your answers. I can give you your answers from before. No? All right, let me try to delete you from it. Go ahead and give me a minute, you guys. I'm going to turn off my microphone. So just to let you guys know, as you see, there is Mel Perrin-Smith, who is answering questions in the chat screen. Thank you for joining me, Mel. I know that you have been working and unpacking lately, so thank you for joining me to help me snag those questions in the chat screen when I'm not watching. She's been very nice enough to offer to help answer questions in the chat screen so I can focus on the content of today's webinar and throughout this week. So if you guys could give her a thank you. Oops. If you guys could give her a thank you, it would be greatly appreciated. All right, so Phil, were you able to go back into the form link again? Okay, well, who? All right, let's go ahead and take a couple minutes break right now so I can help Phil because I need this from him. If you guys have to rush to the bathroom, go get snacks and water, it's okay, Phil, it's fine. I have to get my water refilled also. I've been drinking in the background as well. Let's go ahead and take a couple minutes break, and then I will let you guys know when we are back on. Let's go ahead and say at 11:05 we'll come back online. 11:05. All right, we're going to be starting in 1 more minute. If you have not done so already, I didn't realize I was getting text messages by people who know me personally. If you have not done so already, please mute your microphone. I don't have my speakers on, so I was not reminded about feedback from other microphones. So again, just mute your microphone, please. We're going to go ahead and move forward. Let's see. Janet, okay. Okay, so for those of you who submitted your form by accident, what I want you to do is I'm going to do what I just told Phil. You technically still have a response line with me in the form, so just create another email and keep that open, and just give me the answers in the email, and then what I'll do is I'll transfer those question responses over into the form. So if you worked ahead and did some stuff and then you accidentally submitted it before it was necessary, then that's something I can do. Thank you for answering all those questions from email. I appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and keep moving forward. Thank you, Leilani. All right, this is where you should have put your workroom course link into your Google form. Did everyone get a chance to do that? I see lots of heads nodding. Thank you. All right, so customizing your workroom. You're not going to be doing a whole lot of that today. We're going to be doing that as a whole the next couple of days, but there are some things you can look at, and there's something I do want you guys to work on as we're going through this. While I have 2 hours blocked for this, I am coming closer to the end of my webinar, so the rest of the time will be left open for questions and answers, discussions. So that way we can say we've met for 2 hours. I will keep the recording on and the live streaming on for the total 2 hours. So when you're customizing your workroom, you're looking at the settings, you're looking at customizing your navigation sidebar, different elements of your course and workroom shells, as well as reviewing apps and feature options. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is my workroom. I created it last night, just as everyone else did, so I can make sure that I had the correct information for you guys to set up your own workrooms. Make sure, again, it's unpublished. In most cases, you're not going to publish your workroom. The only time you would publish anything is a live course shell. So on the right side, this is what I call your course status sidebar. So when you create your homepage, which we'll be doing later on this week, this is where you would assign it. So in most cases, pages front page will be what you start with. I will show you guys how to set that up here this week, but you can also have other ways to do this. We at NVLA do front page. Basically, it's like a homepage landing course. It tells a little bit about what the course is, or in your case, if you're elementary, who you are, what you teach, different upcoming specific dates. Like, for instance, at the middle and high school level, when Q1 and Q2 would end, when we would take final exams, having access to a getting started module, which I'll show you guys how to get a hold of later on this week, and all that good stuff. There is a course setup checklist you can use, so I don't have to create one and give you guys one. It's actually a good tool. It gives you everything you need to go from importing content to publishing your course. Super easy, built right into each of your shells, so you have access to it when you do it. Another useful feature, which won't provide as much information at this point in time, is the student view. I tend to use student view when I do my first live session with students at the beginning of a semester, in order to kind of give them an idea of how to look at the course from their point of view. So for instance, in teacher view, right now you can see that there are these little eyeballs with slashes through them. It means that the content is either not there or it's not visible. And I'm going to show you how to make certain things visible through your course settings. But in student view, if we were in a student view, what you'll notice is that the ones that have eyeballs on it will magically disappear. So this would be only what the students would have access to if we were to make this course a live shell. And then down here at the bottom, if you want to leave student view, make sure you leave student view. If you forget to leave student view and try to work in other places in Canvas, especially if you have multiple tabs open of your course, it will block you from moving forward in whatever you're doing. So make sure you toggle it off when you're done. Course notifications pop up in here as well. As you start working in here and getting students into a live course shell, a new part will set up. Let me see if I can pull up an old course so you can see what it would look like from a teacher. Woo! Let's see, not working. Here we go. So I'm pulling up my summer school shell of what it looks like when you have it all done. The first 3 announcements will pop up at the top. As you can see, all the items that I don't want my students to see are pulled down to the bottom of your course navigation sidebar. I will show you guys how to do this in a couple minutes. And then down here, now don't feel like I'm being too fancy here. This is not my work. NVLA has a specific course landing page for their home page that they've created. I'm not this fancy. I'm probably could if I learned HTML a little bit more. But the important things that I want you to see, and you can take shots if you want, is that we always list when we begin, when we end, when our coursework is due. We try to get our coursework due about a week before we take finals during this, or not week, a couple days before we take finals during the school year. Summer, we don't have a break. It's usually coursework, then final. We always tell students if they're working with one more course than us, if they're outside of our full-time students. So NVLA offers full-time students all access, all online for high school, but we also offer part-time students, those who are at a home school who want to take credit to either graduate early or to make up credits that may have not passed in recently to graduate. They can work outside. This notification is mostly for them and summer school. We've created a getting started module, which I'll show you guys later on this week. You can put in a little graphic about live sessions, and then we try to keep certain specific information hyperlinked on the homepage for the students. This is probably the same format I'm probably going to use in regards to course resources and student supports, except take out homepage and information. I would put in Cimarron Memorial for my new school, submitting tickets. Hopefully my school and other schools will have a similar way for students to submit support tickets. So we are not always tech support, because we know how to fix our courses, but we don't necessarily know how to troubleshoot with students as a whole. I don't want teachers in general thinking that they have to do that. To be fair, I think support tickets should be the responsibility of the site-based technician at your schools, the former ECS. That would be the person you would send those support tickets to. That's just my personal thought. It would be up to how your school decides to disseminate those support tickets if they choose to do something similar like that. So that's just a setup of a home page. The other thing I wanted to show you that was not in a workroom setting is viewing course analytics. I cannot show you this because it would have student names on it, but course analytics, what it tells you is how each student is doing as a whole within the class, and it'll show you the median and the mean of scores. And then you can click on each student individually and see when they're turning in work, how late they're turning in work, looking at if they're turning work in specific times for attendance, all that good stuff. So course analytics, when you start having students in a course, will become your best friend when you start being asked questions about attendance. I noticed so-and-so didn't show up on Monday, Tuesday this week, and they're in your A cohort. Can you verify if they submitted something online for attendance this week? Because attendance per distance education and state laws require that students have to submit something once a week minimally if they're not showing up in a face-to-face format. So that's where course analytics will become your friend. I'm going to go back to my workroom. All right, right, so let's go ahead and start figuring out what you would like to keep on your page. I'm going to have you guys go ahead and get in your workroom and click on the settings link in your course navigation sidebar. And I'll go over each part of this screen here. So there's several layers to the settings of a workroom or course. There's 5 different sections: the course details, sections, navigation, apps, and feature options. I'm going to save the navigation, apps, and feature options for last. I'm going to go over this part in sections first. So for your course details, you can add a really cute little image for each of your courses. So like, for instance, if you're in elementary school, you might want to have different images. If you are, if your school requires you to do a different course shell for each content area you may be teaching, so each one could be like an image of the content area. Or if you're at the middle school and high school setting and you have 2 or more different preps, so like, for instance, if I were to be told English 9 and yearbook, maybe have for my English 9 course a picture related to English, and then for my yearbook course, something that relates to yearbook and publications. I will tell you this, as you work in your course, the only thing that you would really be fiddling on the course details page, honestly, is the course image, and possibly, and I'm just saying possibly, because it depends on your school site and who they have as Canvas controller, you may have to enter the start and end times of your course. The start and end times of your courses are going to be important when you start getting students enrolled, excuse me, because this will stop and start them, excuse me, hold on one second. This will allow students to start and stop access to the course. So obviously, if we're setting up our courses between August 10th and August 23rd, we're not going to want students to have access to it. So when you guys go back in the fall and we start setting up our courses, you would probably have to put in 08/24/2020 for it to start at 12 a.m. on the 24th. But if you're not okay with 12 a.m. and your administrator even says more specifically, you can open the calendar icon and then it'll pop down and you can specify a time. And then the last date would be when the semester or quarter ends. However, the district decides to tell us how we are going to run our courses. Those are the only 2 things you're going to touch on course details. Sections, honestly, no one's going to be doing this unless they cross-list their courses. And cross-listing is for advanced users, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and go back on course details. So again, you can access student view again, course statistics, course calendar. Concluding course will not be something you touch personally, but here's where things get a little dicey. So importing course content would come helpful and handy when you're trying to move course content from your workroom into your live course shell. And vice versa. Maybe at the end of the semester, you find that now your live course content is better than your workroom content, and then you can export it into your workroom. Resetting course content, do not do this when you have a live course shell. That can really mess with Infinite Campus and Canvas settings for students. This would only apply to your workroom, and then make sure that you are not resetting it and you have not saved your work somewhere in some way, because once you reset, there's no way to retrieve it back. There's not like a back-end trash can. So you only want to reset course content when you are absolutely sure. You can have unlimited workrooms. If you are so hesitant and you don't want to reuse your workroom or wash it afresh, feel free to make 20 workrooms if you want. I have so many workrooms from working at MVLA for over 7 years, it's ridiculous. And it's easier than resetting course content and then 2 months later realize there was something important in that course content of that workroom that I probably need now and I can't get to it. Validating links in the content, this is part of your checklist to getting your course up and running through published means for your students. this would actually go through and check every link on every page, every assignment, and every quiz in your course. So that's a link that you will use at least minimally once a semester or quarter. Let's go ahead and go to navigation. As you can see, there's a lot listed up here. For me personally, because I have Google Drive attached to me as NVLA, I'm not sure if Google Drive is attached to everyone else. Does everyone else see Google Drive in their navigation screen? Can you let me know yes or no in the chat screen, please? Oh, good. So it's applied to all. All right, good. All right, so I'm going to assume from this point forward that that means all teachers and students will have access to that on the back end, and that's going to be good. I can't really show you exactly why yet until we get into the meat, the heavier meat and contents of working in Canvas this week, but I can tell you that as long as it doesn't glitch, which it will glitch, students will be able to attach work from their Google Drive into your Canvas course. There is a workaround. We all know how to use the share links in Google Drive documents, or most of us do. If not, it's super easy to learn. But this allows the students to not have to click on the blue share button and share it to us directly or to add us as an editor. We would already gain those rights by them submitting it through Google Drive. So my personal thing is everything up here right now is showing. If you do not want to have it shown, you just simply drag it down here to where it says drag items here to hide them from students. You definitely do not want the chat screen shown. Here's the reason why. That chat screen is live 24/7, 7 days a week, every moment of the day. I'm pretty sure you don't want to moderate a chat screen. Just take it out now. Collaborations, you will more likely want them to work in Google Drive and Google Documents so everyone has access if Canvas is down. I will tell you Canvas does crash every so often, and there are times where students and teachers are unable to access Canvas due to updates. If they're working in Google Drive, they can, if you have them pushed into Google Drive for their assignments, they'll be able to still access their work as Canvas is down. If Canvas is down and you do not push them through and you have them working in collaborations, they will not be able to work offline in a way outside of Canvas. So I always say take collaborations out. Conferences, same thing. You don't want the students leading their own conferences and doing things that are naughty and not supposed to happen in an area where you're not moderating it 24/7. Personally, I would also take out quizzes, outcomes, files, pages, discussions, and assignments. Here's the reason why. As a teacher who's taught with NVLA, students will click around and click everywhere to find the quickest means possible to complete assignments. We all know this, especially middle school and high schoolers. They will try to find every shortcut possible. What you really want them to do, though, is to work through the modules tab. And I'll show you guys in a different live shell that I have why this is important. If you force them to go to one area to access all of their work, they'll work in sequential order. If you allow them access to the different components that make up your modules, they'll click everywhere and they won't go to the important parts you are listing in the course. This is how I personally set up my accounts. I put home, announcement, syllabus, grades, modules, and Google Drive. I place people in the disabled area because the students really don't need to know how to access each other. It just lends to an environment that you would have to moderate. And if you're like me, you want to try and keep your work time as your work time and your personal time as your personal time. Eliminating a lot of the chat, the collaborations, the conferences, and the way to get a hold of each other reduces the time you would have to check in off contracted time. I keep the syllabus up. The syllabus, I'll show you in a minute. It's a combination of, it can be course expectations, but it's also a pacing guide. The grades, obviously, grades for us is different. Grades for them list just their assignments. When you're working your course shell, grades actually means your grade book. So you would have access to your whole grade book when you click on grades in your course shell. And then modules. When you're done moving stuff around, go ahead and click save. And then I'll let you guys do that as I pull up another course and show you why NVLA tends to push people towards modules and taking a lot of that stuff out. So as you can see, there's a couple extra things here that normally we don't have for you guys. So NVLA attendance is something specific we use at NVLA. It's similar to course analytics, but better. And honor lock we use for proctoring our exams. I have a feeling that we may be forced to do this as a district because it is required that if students take an online exam or test, it has to be proctored. And if they're not in the same room with you, you have to have a remote proctor. Don't quote me on that though, but that's what we use honor lock for. So in regards to taking away discussions, pages, files, quizzes, all that good stuff, I said keep modules. Here's the reason why. Modules is how you push your students forward in sequential order. So for instance, I said there's a getting started module students finish. You can create a small area for due dates if you're middle school and high school. But this is the meat and potatoes right here. So as you can see, each module for English in here, it's based on either the reading or the research project. This is English 9 semester 2. So we start off with Romeo and Juliet. There's a lesson, there's assignments. Lesson, assignments, discussion. This is the reason why you want to push them in order. As you can see, this work is pushed to them exactly how the teacher wants them to complete it in the order completed. It's also listed in sequential order of due dates. If they're allowed to click here, there, and everywhere, they're going to miss the lesson. They're probably going to miss this document for vocabulary that they're supposed to do for this whole unit versus turning it in at the end of the week. With NVLA, each of these lessons is a whole week. So for week 1, students would have to complete this getting started section as well as this lesson, and then part of the vocabulary worksheet given to them, and then these 2 assignments, which are documents, and a discussion. In general, for us, we have about 1 assignment a day that students submit. Similar to us, if we're in the classroom and we either take back an exit ticket or a specific activity they did in the classroom, it's the same principle here online in the modules. The nice thing about working in modules also, if you only give them access to modules, is that you can set up prerequisites. So like for instance, in order for my students to access coursework, whether it's in module 3, module 4, module 5, it says right here, prerequisites, module 0, getting started. They must complete this getting started module and my required tasks in order to move forward into the coursework. And this allows them to learn your expectations, to learn how to work in Canvas. And again, there is a getting started module in Canvas Commons that you can download and tweak on your own. We'll go over that later on this week. So that's the reason why I suggest only keeping the modules tab open, because it forces them to go in the order you would teach in the classroom daily, weekly, going through the quarter, and then the semester. Syllabus. Now, syllabus, normally it's pretty blank up here, but it shows the due dates of the work. Now, unfortunately, as of right now, there's no way to turn this off. Students can access their work in this way. So as you can tell, I showed you guys that the getting started, welcome to English 2, and all that stuff. Some of the stuff that was listed on the modules page is not listed here for the first couple of days of the course. So the students have to be really mindful of how to work things. So it's about building best practice and best skills to use and work in the course. Always push them through modules. That's my personal philosophy. That's NVLA's personal philosophy of how we get students to work through the course. Outside of this, Google Drive. Let's see if it'll open up for me. So Google Drive allows the students and you to have access to your Google Drive within Canvas. What happens is when a student goes to submit work, they will be able to attach work. And let me see if I can do that in student view. All right, so this is one of my required tasks that I have my students go through. I force them to go in to remind, I explain why, I give them instructions to follow through, and then they're supposed to type, "This task is completed, Miss K." So in most cases, students would have this, and they would have to put this in here. And then they can submit it. Let me see if I can pull up an actual assignment. I don't think I can. Yeah, nope. If I were to click down here, it would open the assignment and then a new box would open up and it says Google Drive. It then would pull up the Google Drive and literally show them the folders and the documents. Unfortunately, I cannot show that to you because I did not work far in this course as a student. So the students would be able to attach directly from Google Drive by having Google Drive in Canvas. Do we have any questions so far? So let me check my questions here. I know Mel's been getting to some of them. All right. So Phil, you can disable whichever ones you wish. 𝘒𝘢𝘳𝘭𝘢𝘯𝘢, the only way modules can become visible is when you publish them. So you know how I said publishing course, right? So when you guys go to the home page of a course, this one's offline now, but it will say publish or unpublished on this side. This is a concluded course, so I can't do that. It would say unpublished or published. That publishes everything in the course. What you can do is you can actually slow down the information going to the students. So for instance, if I only want them to see module 3 through up to lesson 2, you'll notice that there's these green check marks. If you hover over it, you now see it says unpublished and then a circle with a slash through it pops up if you click on it. So you can actually let you go through and select what content you want to have them see right now. You do not have to provide everything. At NVLA, we were required to because some students work ahead. But it depends on what your school site says, and it depends on your teaching style. If you're okay with the students having access to everything from beginning, which, let's face it, a lot of us won't have our courses ready like that for a whole semester up front, then that's fine. But if you're creating content as you go through, honestly, most of your content will be created in Workroom, and you're only pushing forward what you need at the time you need it. You just have to make sure that it's published. Again, published is green check mark. Unpublished is circle with a slash through it in the modules tab. So Janet, that's a different topic for a different day about looking at how to work successfully online as a student. There is some stuff in the Getting Started module, but honestly, it literally takes a lot more than just what's in the Getting Started for the students to be successful in the online work environment. Nicole, don't worry about authorizing Google Drive. That's not part of today. It probably won't let you because you don't need to have it in your workroom. Google Drive is usually only authorized in live course shells. You're welcome. All right, I think Mel and I have both answered questions. So let's go ahead and move forward. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at are apps and features. All right, so apps and features are really good. I'm going to start with features first because that's going to be the shorter end. So feature options, and your administrators may require you to do some stuff in here. In most cases, what you'll end up doing is looking at enabling images for your courses. Outside of this, a lot of assignment allowed text. So the only ones that you're probably going to be looking at is depending on what you're teaching and what your administrators want you to do, is probably look at images, possibly the Mastery Gradebook. I'm not sure if we're going to be assigned one this year. And assignment allowed attempts would be on. I'm not sure if all these are on and marked just like mine. These are NVLA standards that we run, and they're already given to us in a course. There's nothing in, okay. There's nothing in yours, Jeff, at all when you click on feature options under settings in Canvas for your workroom? Wow, interesting. Well, it's not important right now. You won't need it to work in your workroom this week. Truth be told, this will probably be mandated by your administrators at your school site. Apps is the fun part. So apps, external apps are what we can use in Canvas. So we can use Google Apps. That's how you have access to Google Drive. Some people had emailed me or messaged me about having stuff in Google Classroom that they can put back into Canvas. And one of the biggest ones was Pearson. Pearson does have an app. I'm not sure if it goes along with everything. I would have to talk to your representative. But there is a Pearson app. And then Pearson My Lab is actually for math labs that we use at NVLA. Other things you can use with external apps, and you guys feel free as I'm talking to like click around and look what's there. But some of the things that I have used in Canvas as external apps in the last 7 years is Google Apps, Flipgrid, Apex Learning, BrainPop, Cengage Learning, Pearson, CK12, Discovery Education, Edpuzzle, Learn 360 through Vegas PBS. We're able to plop in content from Vegas PBS, Learn 360, Nearpod, Remind.com, and YouTube. Those are just a few things that you guys can use and click around with. Now, keep in mind, you just click on the Apps tab on the settings page of your workroom, Carol. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these require licenses for service or a subscription of some type. So before you get eager and go crazy and start looking at all these things, and, you know, you want these things in your course, be mindful of what your school has access to, and be mindful of what your school can gain access to. So for sure, I can tell you, YouTube is accessible, but you have to be careful with copyright infringements and stuff like that. So be very careful with what you use as YouTube in your courses. What I can tell you, something that is for free, that you can get unlimited service for, is Flipgrid. Have any of you guys used Flipgrid? Yes, you can integrate Wikipedia. I don't use Wikipedia, but to each their own. Who uses Flipgrid? Who are my fellow Flipgridders? You can integrate Flipgrid as a discussion. I will show you guys how to do that tomorrow. Flipgrid is really good to be able to continue speaking and listening skills outside of the classroom. I got tired of looking at just words with my students, and I used it every single discussion this last school year, and I was able to increase student engagement through discussions about 300%. Usually students just do very vague, we all know how it is, especially middle school and high school. They tell us, like, for instance, what is the main theme of this story? It's love. And then they send that in, right? No, this year, my students, because they were able to do it in a social media type style, were able to not just tell me that one of the major themes of Romeo and Juliet is love, but they were able to explain very easily and in a flow how it connected to their lives. They read off lines from the play to connect into their response, and then their peers actually responded back. It was almost like watching them go back and forth on Snapchat, but longer. So the students really get engaged with something like Flipgrid. That's something, it does ask for a consumer key, and I'll go over that tomorrow. Not today. That is for tomorrow. So when you're looking at these apps, keep in mind what you want to do. You don't want to be too heavy in apps, because then you don't want the students to go on and off. So you'll notice that I asked you guys to use one extra external app, which sadly is not part of the apps we can use in Canvas, but you can definitely use that external app, Padlet, for your live sessions. Tomorrow we'll use a different external tool to kind of get you guys in the mindset of how it looks from a student's point of view using different apps. You don't want to be too heavy in apps, because students can get overwhelmed, just like we can. We can easily get overwhelmed. They will also. But just kind of, if you want, even if you can, find out from your schools if they already have maybe some of these on hand as licenses, or maybe they've been reached out by different companies to have those specific licenses. It doesn't hurt to ask. The worst you're going to hear is no. But at the same time, if you don't ask, you'll never know. So apps are pretty fun to click around with. As you can see, there's a lot of different things in here. Someone did point out Wikipedia. I don't think I've ever looked at the bottom here. I just knew YouTube was on here because I use it. So there's a lot of different things. Vimeo. I would not use Twitter or Facebook if it's listed, because we're not supposed to do that. For CCSD policy and regulation 40100 with students. Turnitin.com, please keep in mind your school must have a license for that. So ask if your school has a license. ThingLink is something that students and teachers have used in the past that I've seen for like portfolios. There are a couple other portfolio apps in here. Study.com requires a subscription. Let's see what else is in here. Screencast-O-Matic. This is pretty cool to do on-the-fly videos and screencasts. Rosetta Stone needs a subscription. So Remind.com, the one thing I didn't get to use with this is in Canvas. It never worked for us at NVLA this last school year, so I don't know if it's been fixed. I'm planning to try and see if it will work for us, for me personally this year, since I'm moving to a different school. So again, a lot of different things in here. It's kind of overwhelming depending on your learning style and what you're used to technology-wise. What can be used? I did not know that. So Nearpod I did mention. Lots of good things in here. So, okay, let me go through the questions. Why do we have access to these apps? Well, Phil, I don't know about you. I mean, I know some of the teachers that are with us today are a little old school, and adding in applications for students to access seems to add a little bit more work to your plate. And in essence, it does when you front load it. However, you want to keep your students engaged in the coursework. So you really want to try to find ways to connect with students. The reason why I bring up Flipgrid is the easiest way to integrate at least one external application into your course to engage and motivate students to work in the class. Hold on one second. Do we need to follow all these steps for each workroom we create, or we can? So here's the thing. When you're using applications, this is where you will not be using these in workrooms. In order to use applications, it has to be in the live course shell. It depends on the application, Lisa, on what app you're using to get in there to put the consumer key into. It depends, Jeff, on looking at apps based on course content. Like, for instance, for me in English, I know for sure I can use Flipgrid for discussions. I use YouTube to do short videos that someone else has already created that I can use without imposing on copyright infringements. Sometimes I have used Apex Learning when I've taught credit retrieval courses to gain access to their courses versus logging in on the back end. It just depends, again, on what your school is looking to do. and what you're looking to do. So for the students, Jamie, in looking at how they're presented to the students, like for instance, Flipgrid will pop up as a link on the left side. You can drag back down to the bottom so they can't do it. For me, I integrate Flipgrid into the discussion board as an assignment, so the students are able to have it pop up in their grades in real time. All right. So getting the consumer keys for these apps, Janet. How do you get them? Basically, you have to sign up for the account, possibly purchase subscriptions or sign up for a plan, and then they would have their own way of showing it to you. In most cases, I've just did a quick trial and error and looked in the help section or found a search bar, and then go from there and just put like consumer key, and then it'll point you in the right direction. Let's see, Tracy. Hi, Tracy. Tracy Williams with an IE. So earlier I saw a CY and now I have a CIE. So I had two Tracy Williams on. I don't know if the other one is still on. Actively Learn. So right now, currently, Actively Learn is not in here physically as a space for an app. But from my understanding, there should be a way to embed it. I would have to get back to you on how to do it. So if you want to email me to remind me, I can probably create a really quick Loom video like you guys received when I asked you guys to set up your workroom. I could probably create a really quick video on to show you how to integrate it into a Canvas assignment. Just email me and remind me. All right, and I'm hoping I'm catching all the other questions that Mel is not. You do not need to add applications to a course. If you want to utilize them in the course, like inside the course, you must integrate them. If you feel comfortable using them outside of the course and manually inputting the score into your gradebook in Canvas, that's up to you. Again, some of these things that I'm talking about may be mandated a certain way at your school site, but for the here and now, technically, no, you don't have to add these applications into your course if you already have them set up outside the course, but they can appear in the course, and it makes it easier for the students to access these different applications, especially if you create assignments around them. Okay, see, no other questions. So let's go ahead and go back to our Google form and answer the following. After reviewing the apps you could add to Canvas, what apps do you think you will add into your course content? If you do not see what you're looking for, what apps and features do you feel you need within your course? So Tracy and Catherine, this would be a good way to tell me you would like to use Actively Learn as well. So I can kind of gauge an idea of if there's a way to embed certain things that are not in the apps. That'll give me an idea of how to help you guys and maybe create those quick tutorial videos as well. I'll go ahead and give you guys a couple minutes. When you're done answering this part of the Google form, just go ahead and put the word answered in the chat screen for me, please, so I know when to move forward. Very cute, Erica. I like how you put done in a green check mark. That's a great advanced way of using emojis. That's very cute. Students do love emojis. Later on this week, I'll show you guys some tips, tricks, and tools that I use to keep students engaged during our Thursday webinar session. Sandy, you should have had it open already in a separate tab. You're supposed to keep it open. Well, hold on one second. Let me grab the link again. I've put the link to the Google form in the chat screen again in case you closed it by accident. All right, I see it. Oops. All right, so we are now down to the last part of our session. We have 11 minutes to go. You guys have been great. You guys have been working productively in Canvas. I hope today has helped you ease your fears a little. Got your little cherry popped for Canvas. Just a couple things. Tomorrow, if you're planning to join me, tomorrow we're going to be creating pages and assignments. We're going to be looking at course content in Canvas Commons and creating content with Google Drive. What I'd like you to do, if possible, and I will post this when I post the recording link today on Facebook, but if you want to take a picture of this really quick, what your homework will be for tonight is super simple, so we don't have to waste time at the beginning of session tomorrow, is I need you to create a Google Drive folder titled DYTIC Day 2. Think of one assignment you have on hand that you can create a lesson with. You're going to create a lesson through a page and then create the assignment. Please do not choose a quiz. We're going to go over creating quizzes on day 3. I'll give you guys a moment to take a picture of that. And I know I saw some faces look at me like, homework. Yes, unfortunately, I want to be able to dedicate all 2 hours to working productively versus setting up tomorrow. All right, so at the end of your Google form, there is a couple sections for feedback for me personally. Please know that this information is not being released to CCSD. The only thing that CCSD is a part of is the resources we've used today. So like the Google form that you guys are filling out for me is CCSD, accessing Google Meet so I can provide this training to 250 people and live stream it, Google Slides. Outside of that, this information is for my own benefit, so I know how to tailor the next 4 days, as well as improving my skills as a facilitator and creator. While this is my passion, I honestly have not done this physically for about 5 years. I started doing it up again for NEA of Southern Nevada a couple years ago for certain things, but leading something like this and doing consistently, I plan to do this throughout the school year to help you guys as my fellow colleagues. So just providing me information, honesty, open, honest, please be so. Any and all feedback will be very much appreciated. So thank you for joining me today. We have 8 more minutes left of this session. I will leave this open for people who would like to ask extra questions, would like to voice concerns. Oh yes, do not forget to post the last Padlet. Thank you for reminding me that, Janet. it was on the Google form, so you guys did do that. If you didn't do that, go ahead and do that. And now you guys have access to these Padlets as well. I will leave them up for the week so you guys can review the responses and answers, going through and giving those upvotes if you feel the same way as well. Outside of that, thank you for joining me, you guys. This is all I have for today's session. If you guys are coming back tomorrow, I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your week.
Homework.
Maria, I'm not sending any more emails because I can't. I'm not going to sit sending 250 individual emails. I will post the homework on Facebook. Carol, if you want to stay, I can show that to you right now. Go to drive.google.com. In a different tab. Click on the new and then folder. And dip your toes into Canvas 2. And then create. Now, here's a trick and a tip. If you guys are like me, you'll come back here tomorrow and be like, where to go? If you want, you can rename it by right-clicking on your folder, go down to rename, and then put 01 space in front of it. Because numerals come before alphabet, it pops up at the top closer. So as you can see, my curriculum for next year for English 9 and yearbook are at the top also. And then now you're dip your toes into Canvas Day 2 folders at the top when you put 01 in front of it. So now you have complete instant access. You don't have to look for it. You don't have to do a search in the drive. Your folder's right there ready to go for you to do your homework and work from it tomorrow. Cynthia, you could find it on my Facebook page, and I'll push it out to the teacher pages I pushed out to as well. I think, okay, Carol, hold on one second. Okay, no problem, Mel. I didn't even think about that. Thank you so much. I'll text it to you when I get off here and through Facebook. Carol, what you want to do is, if you have the PDF, that's fine. Just plop the PDF in here, and then I'll show you how to create it in Google Drive tomorrow. You are so welcome, Jason. Thank you, everyone who's still in here. What teacher pages are you referring to? Oh, the teacher groups on Facebook, Jamie. So like support CCSD teachers, support CCSD teachers moderated, Las Vegas inspiring support teachers, all those different groups that you may have seen on Facebook. No problem, Michelle. Thank you for joining me. Tracy, yes, I will post the recording link in just a little bit with the homework, and then you'll be able to watch this again, Tracy. You're welcome, Tasha. I'm glad you were able to join me. Hopefully it helped ease your anxiety. I know you've been panicking a little, Tasha. No worries. It happens. That a girl. I'm glad to hear that, Tasha. And you know you can always reach out to me if you need anything. Does anyone else have any questions? I see 46 people in here still. Padlets. What about Padlets? Padlet question mark. I think everyone did the Padlet. On the second page, I won't let me go to the next page. So Heather, did you make sure you answered all the questions on the second page? I think all of them are required. That's why you can't move forward. There were 3 different Padlets. I can give them to you in the text also, Mel. Heather, did you figure it out? No? Hold on. I can pull up your responses. Sorry, Heather. It's pulling up very slowly. Give me a moment. Ooh. Says there's no Heather in here. Did you? Excuse me. Let's see. Did you put your first and last name and the first box? Because I don't even have an entry for your name in here. And you're obviously logged into your CCSD Gmail. Don't worry about it, Heather. What did you put in there? Can you copy and paste into the chat screen for me, please? That might be it. Okay, so put Here, put this in front of it. Put the http:// in front of it. And it should take it. I don't know why it's being fussy. All right, I see some people still in here. Does anyone else have any questions for me? Go ahead and put them in the chat screen. Last Padlet link. Hold on one second. There you go, Janet. It's in the chat screen. Yes, Anna. So you'll be able to have access to all of these Padlets that we use today. And I will post the recording link on Facebook here in a little bit. I haven't sat down in 2 hours like this, so I need more water and lunch. You know what, Sandy? I can look. I'll let you know if I don't see them done. Okay, Sandy? No worries, Janet. If I'm missing questions, I'm sorry. I see we have 21 more people in here. Does anyone else have any other questions, comments, concerns? Yeah, we're supposed to stop at 12. I'm going to go ahead and stop it right now.